And so for today's video, I want to kind of reflect for a little bit on man's desire to rescue a beauty. And so the idea of rescue and beauty, first rescue. You think about rescue, go no further than sacred scripture. I mean, if you read the entire salvation history of the Bible, you see that God's activity is one of rescue. God is a father who fights for his children. And so he constantly attempts to rescue his children throughout time, starting with the Israelites and rescuing them from their bondage to slavery of sin, to the Egyptians. And then he makes a bunch of covenants. And then he finally sends his son into the world to rescue us from our own sins, to defeat death itself. And so we see this idea of rescue throughout sacred scripture, but particularly God calls men to rescue. He calls men to rescue beauty. And so this idea of beauty, when I think of beauty, it's in our everyday language. I mean, like I can remember growing up, going to the duck blind and having the sunrise right before it became shooting time, and just kind of being like, wow, that's beautiful. Like saying the word beautiful, but not really knowing what it meant. Or I can remember last fall going on a hiking trip with some buddies, and we're on this rock on an elevation, kind of on the side of a mountain at night, and we see the sunset, and you're like, man, that's beautiful. And so this idea of beauty is something that captivates us. It kind of moves us outside of ourselves to acknowledge something else. And so when beauty, which we know exists in all of creation because God is the author of beauty, he creates all that is beautiful. When beauty gets applied to a person is what God is really talking about when he talks about men rescuing a beauty. He's talking about relationships. And we can see this in the book of Genesis. I think it's like Genesis 2, where Adam says, when Eve is created, he says, bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. You can just kind of read into it like Adam is totally captivated by Eve's beauty. Eve represents something that is beyond the mere physical characteristics. It's something that speaks to something beyond of what he's seeing. It's something divine. And so this vision that Adam had was one of purity. Jesus says, blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. I think that for us to behold beauty, to rescue beauty, we have to first know what beauty is and how to see beauty. And I think beauty can be seen through the eyes of purity. I know growing up as a young man, one of the things I struggled with were sins against purity. And so an image, a painting that always spoke to me was one kind of like this of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And she's the most beautiful woman that was ever created. She brought God into the world. And so she models this beauty. There's something about her that radiates something divine. And that's in every creature. We radiate something that's divine, something that's beyond just the mere physical. And so, brothers, for today, my challenge to you is to look around you today. Maybe it's looking at the sunset as you're driving home from work. Maybe it's just looking at your wife. Maybe not for too long because that could be kind of awkward, but just appreciating the beauty that's in front of you. Praying for the vision to see with the eyes of God. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. So until next time, this is Nick Ware from Sacred Heart of Broussard signing off. God bless.